Hey everyone, welcome to Behind the Storyboard. Today I'm joined by Fawnduu, a puppy mom freelance artist with some amazing success in the art industry. It's been quite a while since we last talked, so I'm glad to have you join me on this interview. I've known your content for about 2 years now, ever since you created the webtoon My Dragon Girlfriend. For artists in the community who might not know what kind of work you do, can you describe it?
I do a webcomic. You already said it, it's My Dragon Girlfriend, and that is my primary source of income. That is what I spend most of my time doing, as well as commissions and just my own work that I want to do. It's kind of an atypical artist lifestyle. I used to do freelance, but not so much anymore. Just my own stuff.
Awesome. How about we go back all the way to the basics, like what first inspired you to get into art?
Repeat that, sorry.
All good. Let's go back to the basics. Like, what first inspired you to get into art?
So what first inspired me was probably in middle school. My friend Brooke we would draw Naruto OC comics. She's the one who got me into anime, and um she was really the driving force behind me like wanting to get better at art. She was way faster and better at drawing than me. She wanted to actually be a comic artist. And I totally didn't think that like art was in my future. Both my parents are engineers, so I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna do something like really practical like my parents. But basically the more I drew with her and the more fun I had, and these comics were terrible. Like it was quantity over quality all the way. And mostly because like Brooke would draw so fast and like just so much, and I was just trying to keep up. So I was throwing out these terrible, like they're it don't even make sense. Like I still have all of them in a folder at my parents' house that every so often I'll go back and look through them and be like, this is how far I've come.
Nice. Glad to hear it. Are there any fellow artists or animators that give you a drive to achieve?
Just repeat the last part of that.
Sure. Are there any fellow artists or animators that give you a drive to achieve?
Or achieve what? It just cuts out like right at the end.
Oh, to achieve goals rather.
Oh,
I
okay,
kind of
okay.
left it out, so.
Um, yeah. um, I wouldn't say that there's like any particular artist that makes me um like something I'm like, oh, I want to do that or something. Oh wait, no, I'm lying. I'm lying right now through my teeth. I would say that probably Mira, the Road Queen. When I read her comic, I was like, oh my God, this is what I've wanted to read forever. So I would say that her work I really enjoy, and I really like how she writes comics. I think that that's really great. And but as far as like what motivates me, it's probably like just my own friends. They're all like really spectacular artists, so just seeing them put out awesome work makes me want to get better. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of my motivation is actually more so internal than external.
Hmm. Cool. That's really cool to know, actually. So I personally know your background after I became a moderator for your server and have interacted with you for almost 2 years. But for those who don't know, what is your educational background in art?
So I studied computer animation, which is for anyone not going to SVA. That was 3D like Pixar animation. So I did the 4 year degree there, and I was doing. Should I talk about internships and stuff too, or just
Yeah, sure.
education?
You can talk about your internships as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the education as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was really lucky in that I got to intern with Vicarious Visions, which is a game studio actually like pretty close to where I grew up. So I got to it was a really unique opportunity where I got to be the character. I was the only character designer there, but I was the intern on this game that ended up never coming out. But that's a whole nother thing. But that was a really eye-opening experience. I also interned for this show called Peg Plus Cat, which is a preschool show that I don't think it's still running because it was a while ago. But so that was like a TV animation sort of like eye-opening experience. And then I also interned with DreamWorks. So I got to see like the feature film. I kind of got like a little peek into every little facet for a couple months each summer while I was in school. But then my senior year, I kind of realized that like I didn't like the 3D path, which to be honest, my internships weren't ever 3D. It was all drawing based. But I ended up realizing that I don't really want to work in animation that much anymore after all that.
Yeah, that's still totally valid. So My Dragon Girlfriend started all the way back on March 20th, 2018. How does it feel to look back and how far you've come to since that point?
Oh, it actually started October 1st.
Ah, that's right. But posted
Yes,
on
October
Webtoon.
1st, 2017, I think.
I believe it
Or
was.
what? I don't wait. I think it was 2017. It was 2 years ago, essentially. I started it as an Inktober. And I would have never thought that this would become my job. I started it totally for myself as a way to like, because basically after college, I had gotten super burnout from just everything creative. And I kind of needed to reboot myself. And actually during my senior year, when I was doing my thesis, which was like, basically I ended up doing so much technical stuff that I was beating my head against a wall. I was like, okay, for this Inktober, I'm going to do just like one comic panel a day. And like that'll be my like little drawing bit for the day because I love drawing. And then like my classmates all started following the comic as I was doing it and really enjoying the story. And even though it was really dumb and bad, like especially looking back at like that first Inktober comic, it was just like bad, but they were like really engaged with it and following it. And that was really encouraging to me. And like, I was really enjoying making it, and then seeing other people enjoy it, like just made me really happy. And that was like really fulfilling to me. So then when I was feeling like really kind of down that summer after senior year, after graduating, I was like, for Inktober, I'm going to do a comic, but do it with like everything that I love. So like obviously girls, dragons and magical creatures, all of that. I'm going to do an Inktober comic with that, and it's going to pick me back up because I need that right now. So basically I did it all for myself. And then like slowly over time, the people started like following it and like liking it too. And so that was really surprising to me. And it wasn't until March 20th that finally there was enough people that were reading it that I was getting comments, because I had been posting the comic to Twitter in a thread. I had been getting comments from people saying like, hey, I really like want to go back and read this, but it's not very intuitive to go back and read this thread. Could you like upload it to Webtoons or something? And so I was like, Webtoons? I don't know what that is. So then I started Googling like all the prospective places I could upload the comic. Because like at this point, like I'm like, I don't know like anything about this. I don't think I'm going to make any money from this. I just had no idea what I was getting myself into. And so I was like, all right, whatever, I'll pick Webtoons. And so I picked Webtoons and I started uploading it. I think I was uploading like a page every couple hours. And then by the next day it had 5,000, sorry, that's my dog. It had 5,000 subs already. And so I was like, what? I don't understand this. Like, I don't understand how that's possible, because like I think I had like I don't know 1,000 followers on Twitter or something. So that seemed like a really big number to me, and like I didn't understand how that could have happened in a day. Um, so I guess looking back now, I'm like I can't believe that like a flippant decision where I was just like, I guess I'll upload it here so that people can read it better. And like at the beginning, I was putting in like so little, like I don't know, like whatever, um, energy into like that portion of it. Um, that like now to be this far along is like kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, honestly, I remember back when I first joined, like the third episode you posted, and I was like, "Wow, this is gonna go far." It was 3 episodes in, had thousands of followers, and I was like, "Yeah, this is the place to be." And it's perfect. Lots of people love it to this day. Like one of the most LGBTQ friendly, like webtoons there is, and it's great.
I'm honestly really happy to see, not because it's just like my own comic. I mean, obviously, I'm happy that it's doing well because it's my comic, but I'm just happy that like a woman loving woman centric comic is like up towards the top of the popularity stuff for romance and stuff because normally it's heavily dominated by like boys love and just like heterosexual relationship stuff. So to actually see uh, a lesbian centric sapphic story be at the top is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to the present. So I believe there are tons of people that fantasize the idea of starting personal projects such as webtoons or YouTube. Is there anything you wish you were told or knew when you first started creating content?
I wish someone had told me not to like hand letter really sloppily my comic because one day I might actually like have to go back and fix all of that because I'm gonna turn it into a book. And that was like really intensive and annoying to go back and fix. Um, but like as far as um, like webtoons specifically, I don't know if I would change that much because like what I did, which was like a total like shot in the dark, actually ended really well for me.
Cool. Good to know. You honestly have quite a busy schedule. You exercise constantly, you create webtoons, fulfilling Patreon duties, and taking care of pets such as Moogie. How do you go about scheduling time for everything that needs to be done?
So it's sometimes it's a little crazy, and some days I feel like really lazy, which I think everyone feels that way when even if they're like no matter how hard you're working, you're like, oh, I'm so lazy. But Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays tend to be my like heaviest days, and my most scheduled day where I wake up, take the dog out, feed my pets, get started working on that day's page, doing the drawing for it and all that. And then I work out once I get that finished. That's like my like, okay, I got like the base of what I needed to get done, which was the page for the day. Then I go work out. I come back, shower, make something to eat, and then I'll do some more work. And then I try to cap it off with like playing games or watching something and just relaxing because it's been a busy, long day. And then like Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are my like I'll do Patreon stuff, any other things that I need to be doing. And the weekends, I tend to be lighter. I still will draw, but I try to give myself at least one day where I don't do any drawing on the weekend.
Got it. So because your entire life is essentially based around art, what do you do when you get a case of art block, especially since you have to fit so much work within a short amount of time?
Oh, that is the hard part, isn't it? I I tend to like actually right now, I'm going to do today's page tomorrow because I've been really struggling with writing the dialogue, because that's the thing with comics is it's not only writing, it's not only drawing. I mean, it's also writing. So you have to juggle not only drawing block but also writing block. So right now I'm drawing wise it's fine. But writing wise, I am having such a hard time doing the dialogue for the next set of pages. That's because I do it like kind of untraditionally, where I have my outline, like the plot, but I don't have like all the like set in stone dialogue written. So like, I don't know, right now I'm really struggling with the dialogue. So instead of trying to force myself, which I did most of this morning, I'm actually switching it where today I just like, once I got frustrated enough, I went and I worked out, and then I started just drawing other things. And tomorrow I'm going to go back at it. So I make myself try for a certain amount of time, and then if I'm like really, I just like can't do it, I just put it down and I go and I like work out or go do a different hobby to like get myself in a better mindset. And I try again in the next day, or in a couple hours, depending on how time sensitive something is.
Okay, nice. That's good to know. And I think it's really important for other artists to like have this ability to like understand when to stop and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because like sometimes it's not gonna come, and it's hard to make yourself stop.
Mm-hmm. What do you think are the most important traits and abilities to have when getting into freelance artwork?
So my like freelance was short-lived. And that's not for like any reason against like freelancing, but mainly because like, so I was working full-time as a kids lit illustrator. And then it was not technically last September, because that would have been like a couple months ago, but the September before that, I got laid off. Like my whole office got laid off because they were only operating their office in Miami. So suddenly I was thrown into like, oh shit, I need to freelance. And at this point, I don't know, I wasn't making that much money from my dragon girlfriend. So I definitely wasn't like, I couldn't support myself fully from that. So right after that happened, my friend actually, they work full time, doing background design, and they were going to take on this job for they were, like beat boards, almost like basically illustrations to go at the beginning of a video game. And they couldn't make time for it. They were too busy. So it actually worked out, and they passed the test along to me to do, and they ended up picking me up. So that was actually really difficult. I found it more difficult to manage my time between the comic and life and freelancing, because with my office job, well, not office job, it was an illustration job, but illustration job 9 to 5, I had a strict time where like I would be working from 9 to 5 and that was it. Whereas with freelancing, there's no like, it's like you have to get this set amount of work done, and pacing myself for that and adjusting to working from home all at the same time was pretty difficult. But luckily by the time that contract was up, my dragon girlfriend, because I was able to keep on top of it, was actually making me more money. And I made a choice to shift my focus more onto the comic and putting all my effort into Patreon and the comic and growing that, rather than taking on more freelance work that split me. So, and that ended up paying off.
Cool. So as a successful webtoonist, what do you consider as success, and how do you measure it?
Well, I think that's different for everyone. I would have considered it a success like from the minute that like people were reading it and engaging with it. but like as time has gone on, like my definition of success has changed because now it's my source of income. So through all of my like the various like through Patreon and Webtoons itself, like the AdSense that you get from them, being able to pay my bills with that is what I consider successful now. But I mean, that's not, I wouldn't say like everyone else should have that be their definition of success, because there's plenty of other people who like this is just their side thing. And like I think it's really difficult to have a Patreon and your comic be your only source of income. Because I think that a lot of people they're doing like full color, really detailed, like art heavy pages for their comics, and that's really, really hard to sustain at the pace that you need to actually like get a good return. So through me, I don't know, the reason that Dragon Girlfriend is the way it is because I didn't have a comic background, so I just went storyboarding. And so it was black and white, and especially at the beginning, it was very loose, but I've tightened it up quite a bit since I first started, because I can put more time into it. But the ability, like my abilities, like I can do 3 pages a week, and it's not a big deal. Like, but I know for like someone who's doing full color, like super detailed backgrounds and characters, and like that you might only be able to do a page a week, and that's hard to keep people interested, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we move on to ending questions? Like, what are your plans for the future? Are there any projects you want to start? And what are you doing right now to achieve these goals?
Yeah, so after Dragon Girlfriend, I really, really, really want to do my lesbian Western comic. That is something that I actually was concepting with a friend in the November after I had started Dragon Girlfriend. So like literally a month after I started this, I already was like thinking about another comic idea that I could do, but I was working full time, and I was doing the comic after working. So I was like, there's no way I can do this. And then Dragon Girlfriend became a lot bigger than I thought it would be. And so now this is like, I need to put my energy into that before I start doing another comic on top of that. So right now, while I'm doing Dragon Girlfriend, I just like think about the story and like the characters, and I'll do illustrations based on them and just like drawings. And people, they have like very little context for it, but like they just know they're starting to know the characters. So I hope that those people will still be around for when I do end up starting the comic. But for now, it is definitely going to happen. It's just when Dragon Girlfriend is starting to wrap up, that is when I comic.
Perfect. What are some socials people can find you on, and how can they support you in your career?
So everything is going to be Fawnduu. That's fawn like a deer, FAWNDUU. I mostly post on Twitter, so if you want to get me talking, pictures of my pets, just like random thoughts, Twitter, and art, of course. Twitter is the place for that. That's Fawnduu. I do post to Instagram, but it's sparingly. I'm bad about it just because I don't like Instagram that much. And Webtoons obviously is where you'll find Dragon Girlfriend. I do post that to Twitter as well, but it's in that same thread that I started 2 years ago. And it's just a lot easier to read it on Webtoons. And then if you want to support me, you can do that at patreon.com/Fawnduu.
Awesome. Are there any last words or pieces of advice you'd like to leave off with?
My biggest piece of advice is if you're holding out on starting your comic because you want to be better at art or something, stop it. Just start it, because you're going to get way better over the course of doing a comic because of how much drawing it requires, and it will force you to learn how to draw many things. And so doing a comic is one of, in my opinions, the best way to get better at drawing and improve your skill level.
Awesome. If I also remember, there's a place people can send you fan art.
Oh yeah, if you can send that to my Gmail, which is cb scriven SCRI V as in Victor EN at gmail.com.
Awesome. So I really appreciate you accepting the call. It was super fun getting to talk to you again. All of Courtney's socials will be in the
Yeah.
description below. Be sure to stay tuned for next time. Bye bye. Awesome. Thanks so much for